Greetings, heavy metal lovers of all shapes, sizes, and varieties. We have gathered once again at the Wall of Metal to discuss and dissect yet another wondrous work of Christian heavy metal ingenuity. We are continuing right along with the discography of the Christian metal supergroup Tourniquet as I review their third release, Pathogenic Ocular Dissonance. Pathogenic Ocular Dissonance was released in 1992 on Intense Records, and then Metal Blade released it in 1993 to secular markets, which means, just like Psychosurgery, die-hard fans like myself had 2 CDs to buy. Just like their previous venture, Pathogenic was recorded with what was considered the classic lineup: Guy Ritter on lead vocals, Ted Kirkpatrick on drums, guitarists Gary Lenaire and Erik Mendez, and on bass, Victor Macias. However, this lineup was soon to change. Shortly after the recording of Pathogenic, lead vocalist and founding member of the band Guy Ritter departed, leaving a vacancy to fill before touring began, meaning that fans got their first glimpse of the new lead vocalist Luke Easter while seeing them live supporting the album, which he was not featured. This was the case for me. I first saw Tourniquet at a nice little venue called the King's Place in Columbus, Ohio. My friends and I were mesmerized that we got to see Tourniquet and that we got to meet them after the show. How young we all were back then. In this record, Tourniquet took a deeper dive into medical terminology, featuring the influences of the big brain writing style of drummer Ted Kirkpatrick, bringing forward song titles that would make your science teacher blush. Kirkpatrick took an even more active role in the songwriting for this record, but no matter who wrote the song, though, they all fit together well as a cohesive collection of songs. This is a testimonial to the musical direction and the continuity of the band. I read an interview with Guy about his departure from the band, and he seemed to express that his wheelhouse was when it came to singing with more melody. At that time, Tourniquet's music and the trends of thrash music in general was pulling toward the heavy end of things, with thrash-style vocals that fit more with Gary Lenaire's talents. Guy expressed that there was no discord in the group, but the directional change that Tourniquet was taking was the deciding factor. Based on this information, and with the observation of how trends and styles were shifting at the time, it appears as if there wasn't any bad blood or turmoil within the band as far as I can tell. It was just the way things were going. That being said, let's get into the tracks, shall we? Track 1, Impending Embolism. Right away, the big brain titles and intelligent lyric writing was on display with this introduction track. I always viewed this not so much as an opening song as much as an introduction piece to the album. The frenzied sound effects pulsating through the speakers as we hear Gary Lenaire not so much singing as he is reciting a poem filled with $20 words.
With fervent docility, we have perused through centuries of countless volumes, finding little solace for our plight.
I actually once recited this as a toast at a big, fancy family gathering where we were together at a restaurant. My uncle tried to put me on the spot and embarrass me, so I recited Impending Embolism. The family was slightly confused, but very impressed, and my uncle was disappointed that he didn't trip me up. Thanks again, Ted Kirkpatrick. Once the words are complete, the music kicks in with a doomy little riff that sets the heavy tone for the entire album. To me, the riff sounds a bit like Auld Lang Syne in a minor key. Not sure if that's what the intention was, but that's how it hit me. It's a good headbanger, and it flows nicely into track 2, Pathogenic Ocular Dissonance. The title track kicks in with some strong metal riffing and some lead guitar work by Lenaire, and the thrashing commences into the vocals. Lenaire helms the verses, everyone screams the choruses together, while Guy makes his appearance in a sort of double bridge situation. The first is a medical analogy about a vision test, and the second is the biblical truth that is found in Matthew 6 and 21. Both of these tie in together beautifully to express the deeper meaning of the song. As the title track, this song is catchy and powerful as it gives us our first taste of the newest direction of Tourniquet, which is taking what psychosurgery gave us and then tightening the bolts and cranking up the intensity. Track 3, Phantom Limb. Up next is probably one of the more well-known songs on Pathogenic. Phantom Limb starts out with a little jazzy, a little bluesy, with Victor climbing through the bass line with precision, while Erik Mendez works the wah pedal like a boss. Keeping the spirit of the bluesy riff very much alive, the song gets heavy, boy, with some distortion and drums kicking in full stop. Guy brilliantly helms all of the vocals on this tune, giving us his signature variety of timbres and tones. Lyrically, the song talks about an actual medical condition by the same name, where those with severed limbs will feel the sensation of that limb still being there, making a spiritual reference to the way that we feel when we sever our relationship with the Lord. Somehow, God is finding a way to remind you that He's still there and He still loves you. Track 4, Ruminating Virulence. From the opening curse splash, followed by a siren sound, this song is a thrasher's dream come to life. Ruminating Virulence gives us some thrashing and some good groove mixed in along the way to provide a nice variety for your listening ear. This will be as good a time as any to bring up Victor's unique bass playing technique. When he's playing the E string, most of the time he is literally thumping with his thumb. I really enjoyed watching Victor Macias play bass. Lyrically, this song deals with a question that many of us have when we face trials. Why did this happen to me? Or more specifically, why did God let this happen to me? If we continue that way of thinking without listening to the voice of God, then anger can take hold, which gives way to bitterness. And once you let bitterness have its way, it will mess up your faith. The response is best found in the words of the song. At the end of verse 2, it says, "The ways, mind, and heart of God are certainly mysterious. My plans are not your plans, but remember this, that everything I do in love to bring you closer to me, no matter what your problems or your circumstances happen to be." All of the lead guitar work is carried out masterfully by Mendez, and Guy finishes the lyrics of the song singing melodically about the importance of putting away bitterness. Spectrophobic dementia. Spectrophobia is a phobia involving an abnormal and a persistent fear of mirrors. It's an anxiety about seeing one's own reflection showing back at you. skillfully utilizing the term and the scripture found in James 1 and 23, which says, "Anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like someone who looks at his face in the mirror, and after looking at himself goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like." Being more metal than thrash, this song rocks hard in message and in music. In case someone is unfamiliar with the exquisite drumming of Ted Kirkpatrick, which, if you are, I'm not sure how you could be, but here's a little example of how his drumming locks into the guitar work to create a unique metal sound. An example of big brain writing that went into this album can be found in this song with the line, "lacrimation down my face." Lacrimation means a flow of tears. Gary could have just written, "the tears stream down my face," but he took the initiative and used more medical sounding terms. This kind of innovation shows throughout the record and is a testament to how well each song works together, no matter which member of the band wrote it. Speaking of using medical terms, this brings us to the song with the longest title on the album, track 6, "Gelatinous Tubercles of Purulent Ossification." Back in the days before the internet as we know it, before the day when you could just Google something, you had to either look it up at the library or you could just be content in not knowing it. This album came out in that era of time, and this song in particular was cause for a lot of research. Musically, the song rocks with a great mix of thrash and metal, with some great groove parts to it as well. The computer-sounding voice that you hear throughout the song was taken from instructional tapes that would teach people to speak through a device called an electrolarynx after they had to have a laryngectomy surgery.
The rainbow is a division of white light in too many beautiful colors.
This ties into the lyrics of the song, which reference how we treat our bodies and the decisions that we make, specifically the damage that comes with smoking. The first half of the song contains the lyrics, and after about the midway point, the song just jams with the occasional interjection of the electrolarynx voice. This could be symbolic of the loss of our true voice when we allow ourselves to be taken over by addictions and the extent of the true damage that they are doing. Track 7, "Incommensurate." This is the only song in the Tourniquet catalog that was written by bass player Victor Macias. The song makes me wish we could have heard more from him. It is a great tune. The music is fast and furious, a heavy song that really shows off the writing talent of Macias. Not quite halfway through the song, it does a nice quick little stop with a bass feature that leads up to a musical interlude. Lyrically, the song is not so medical, but is deeply theological. It speaks of the fall of Lucifer and how he has become a defeated foe due to his prideful downfall. The lyrics are shared by Gary Lenaire and Victor Macias himself. And the song closes with a deep-voiced recital of Revelation chapter 20, verse 10 from Victor en Espanol. Track 8, "Exoskeletons." While still holding to the themes and feel of Pathogenic, this song sounds like it would fit right on Psychosurgery as well. That would have made that album 10 songs instead of the shameful 9. After opening with a cool little multi-tracked vocal lift from Guy Ritter, the song kicks in with a great metal riff. It has a solid drive to it, and Guy hums the vocals on the entire song. The song talks about some important social issues. Even though it doesn't have a heavy medical term aura to it, the title Exoskeletons fits in with the theme of the album, as it represents that we put on a tough exterior so often, while at the same time hiding the damaged and wounded soul, that the Lord will heal if you would just let him in. The song closes out with a quick little Black Sabbath riff. For a long time, I had no idea that that was the case. In fact, later in life, when I heard the song Supernaut for the first time, my initial reaction was, hey, these guys are ripping off Tourniquet. Track 9, The Odyssey on Trial. This song begins with a cool fade-in as the guitar volleys back and forth between left and right speakers. Then the drums kick in along with a nice rhythmic bass riff. The guitar harmonies really shine in the musical interludes. Lyrically, the song is about the biblical account of Job and how no matter what Job went through, whether he was in wealth and health or in sickness and sadness, he remained faithful to the Lord. During what I guess could be considered the chorus of the song, Guy is singing his part while at the same time Gary is in the background singing a different part in his signature thrashy tone. The lyric sheets only indicate what Gary is saying the last time through, but it's an important thing to remember when we want to blame God instead of trusting in him. Gary sings, "He who puts the Lord on trial puts himself on the stand." Track 10, Descent into the Maelstrom. This song is the instrumental on the project. Just like their other instrumentals, the drums are a major factor in the song, considering that Ted is the composer. That makes sense. His drumming is wild and at the same time extremely controlled. The guitar work is once again reminiscent of classical music, done in a heavy metal style. The guitars sound like the mids are lifted, giving it a little more of a muffled quality. It's almost as if metal music, classical music, and 60s classic rock had a baby and named it Descent into the Maelstrom. Track 11, En Hakor. This is another Tourniquet song that was birthed directly from biblical accounts, as it speaks of Samson. The title is taken from the name of the spring that appeared to refresh a thirsty Samson after he cried out to God. En Hakor is Hebrew for the spring of him who calls. The song has elements of speed metal as well as thrash and is quite progressive. Gary helms the verses while Guy lets it rip on the choruses. This is an appropriate biblical account, giving the theme of the album. Samson, after telling his secret to the wrong person, having his hair cut in his sleep, and losing his strength, was captured, and his eyes were gouged out. That sounds like pathogenic ocular dissonance, if I've ever heard it. Track 12, The Skeezicks Dilemma. The final track on the original pressing of this album is the epic track, The Skeezicks Dilemma. This behemoth of a song has just about everything you can think of. A 12-string guitar, a creepy circus organ played by Pastor Bob Beeman, a child monologue,
home of the gaunt and haggard shell of the Skeezicks,
guttural screams, an acoustic guitar lullaby, heavy riffing, face-melting guitar solos, a cat solo, and on top of all of that, every member of the band, except Ted, sang a vocal part on this song. This is truly an epic song on the album and in the entire Tourniquet library. Lyrically, the song is about child abuse and how we, as adults, need to protect them, nurture them, and bring them up in a safe environment at all costs. The song references the cartoon character Skeezix from a long-running American comic strip called Gasoline Alley, as well as an early 20th century children's board game called Uncle Wiggily, where kids draw cards, say rhymes, and advance their tokens across the playing board. The nature and style of the song seems quite dark, as it deals with such a heavy subject, and even the references to innocent things like a child's cartoon or a board game are done in a way that seem ominous. This gives the song a very serious tone as it opens our eyes to this very important subject. The songwriting and the instrumentation is outstanding. My rating of Tourniquet's Pathogenic Ocular Dissonance is as follows. It's challenging to make what could be considered a perfect record, with all of the creative options and different ideas that come with having such great talent in one band. But in my humble opinion, this is the closest thing there is to perfection in the Tourniquet library. The songwriting is spotless. The guitar work is out of this world. The vocal work from various band members is exquisite. And somehow the production level was cranked from 11 up to 12. Even though the vocalist, Guy Ritter, left the band shortly after the record was complete, in my opinion, this production shows absolutely no signs of cracks or discord within the band. It sounds like a darn near perfect album created in darn near perfect unity. Pardon my language. That being said, I give Pathogenic Ocular Dissonance 5 gelatinous tubercles of purulent ossification out of 5. Well, that does it for this review. Here is the part where I beg. Consider subscribing to this channel, will you? Share this video with your friends, fellow music lovers, your mama. It doesn't cost you a thing. It really helps this channel get some visibility. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. And if you didn't like the video, please seek professional help. Well, that does it for me. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I hope to see you again next time.
This is Ted Kirkpatrick of the pop metal band Tourniquet.
Honey, take it easy.
Gary Lenaire, Gary's in the band, guitarist, and he's from Eugene, Oregon.
Take it easy.
Hi, my name is Victor Macias, and I'm a bass player.
I don't know what to do.
She'll be all right, honey. Don't worry.
And so, Luke, do you have something to say?
No comment. Thank you.